right, we get it started right now. What's good, everybody? This is the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 17. Today's topic is the current, um, the state of the dating. The current state of dating. My bad. All right, so yeah, we're going to get it started right now. If you're rewatching this, I appreciate you for watching it. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like as well as um, leave a comment as well. I do want to, however, start this off very structured. So give me 1 second. I want to start off with a few disclaimers. Um, to preface, these things that I will be talking about today are my observations, not only through my own experience, but through the experiences of others. And I feel like not all this is going to be true, but I feel like all of it should be taken into account. So I'm just gonna start it with that. Also, um, if you're a bit older or you've been in a relationship for a long time, you might be a little bit out of tune about the things that I'm going to be speaking about. So I also wanted to have a disclaimer about that as well. Let's just say like dating 10 years ago is definitely not the same as dating today. So like I said, if you're a little bit out of the loop, then this is going to be um, an interesting listen to say the very least. And then yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started from there. Um, So first off, I would like to start off with the problems within the dating marketplace right now, and the main problem is no, before I actually start, right? So I've already actually filmed this before. I filmed this yesterday. I filmed it yesterday on Friday, and for whatever reason, when I filmed it, it didn't get uploaded to YouTube. So I'm redoing this over again on Saturday. Today's Saturday, so just let you guys know about that. So we'll start off with the problems. The main problem being what I would define as low status, low value men. I'm going to say more low value men. I'm going to say that. And through my perception and through the perception of others, low status men, I'm going to say low value men. Low value men. Low value men are the biggest contributor to the issues within the dating marketplace because um, they are sadly the foundation that it's built off of right now. The way society is going right now, the low value men are the foundation on what that's built on. Sadly, foundation has a bunch of cracks and has a bunch of problems, and those problems lead to other bigger problems, or what I would consider a problem within society. So, with that being said, um, the men that are really um, the problem are going to be the ones that the ones that simp and the ones that put women on pedestals when in reality they're a human being. We're a human being, so or we're human beings rather. So it doesn't really make any sense to put anyone else on a pedestal. And on top of that, like I said, you have a bunch of men that are simping, giving their money, time, attention, resources away to women for nothing. So those are going to be the biggest contributors to the problem. And there's going to be more problems that I will discuss later. But yeah, that's just the way I want to start it. First, um, these low value men, um, particularly ages 18 to 24, one third out of those one third of people ages one third of men ages 18 to 24 are involuntarily celibate, which is definitely a thing that also needs to be taken into account when um, talking about the dating marketplace right now. Because with that being said, that shows how the low value men, well, men in general, I'll say men in general because they're a part of the men, are contributing factors are not ideal. They're not living the ideal lives. Um, and that's definitely a contributing factor to that. So okay. Um, and so let's talk about women. So how does the low value men, how does it contribute? So if that's the root cause to the problem, what are the other additional problems that come after that issue? So one of them is right now, like I mentioned earlier, time, attention, and resources are getting used and abused and women are the ones that take full advantage of this. Attention is the currency of today for women, and now they have the most abundant amount of attention that they've ever gotten in human history. And I feel like our brains really haven't developed and are prepared for that amount of attention, validation, whatever you would like to call it. And um, it starts to change. It starts to change the type of attention that they want and the type of, um, well, just the, like I said, the value of it. If there's so much attention that's getting used onto one thing, the attention becomes more meaningless. Was good, D. Was good. Was good, my dog. Appreciate you for stopping by. All right. So if you have any comments about what I'm talking about, make sure you leave a comment as well. Just to let you guys know, this is one of these topics that I've been researching for months. I probably say a few years now, and it happens to be one of the topics that I have yet to talk about on this podcast. And I'm definitely looking forward to talking about this with somebody else. I don't know when that will be, and I don't know who will be, but I definitely am looking forward to talking about this with another person in the room as well. All right. So going back to what I was talking about. So you have, or was I? I was talking about the attention being the currency of today for women, right? So you have the most attention in history being directed towards women, and um, it becomes worthless over time. The example that I used in the last podcast that no one's seen was, um, let's just say you're an average guy, right? And one thing I'll start off with as well is men and women who are average, they're not equal. Women that are average are not equal to men that are average, and that is one of the things that is very interesting within society today because now you have an average, let's just say an average looking woman, maybe a 5, 6, or 7, right? With the type of attention that they get nowadays, they are thinking that they are 7, 8s, and 9s, which aren't what they are, but they're getting attention, and their attention is kind of skewed the value that they really provide to the marketplace. And now you have men that are the 5, 6, and 7s that are feeling like the 3s, 4s, and 5s, honestly, because they get no attention and they have no real place within the marketplace. So that's something that also needs to take into account as well. The type of attention that, like I said, the type of attention that an average woman gets is probably 10 times greater than the average man. That's for sure. The average man is probably lucky to get a DM, a woman trying to DM him maybe once every few months if he's lucky. I'm gonna say that. So, and then the average woman is probably getting DMs every day or at least a few times a week, to say the very least. So, that shows you anything right there with the attention. It's off, and then it also throws off a few other things like the dating apps and stuff like that. They are um, mostly populated by men. Of course, there's going to be some women that partake in dating apps, but for the most part, I want to say about 80% of the people on dating apps are dudes. So right then and there, 20% of people that are in that are women have the most abundant amount of options possible, to the point where I'm bringing this up earlier than I expected, is they have such an abundance of men and abundance of options that they become indecisive on what option to pick. So they have option indecision is what I like to call it. So they have so many options that are available to them that settling with one is sacrificing another. And they, for the most part, are not a fan of sacrificing another. So they, for the most part, will stay single and, like I said, fight the indecision that is picking an option. So there's that as well. Um, and on top of that, the way that this is different than like 10, let's just say 10, even dating 10 years ago, let's just say dating 10 to 30 years ago. The reason why it's so different is um, the amount of men that were available to a woman, let's just say 30 years ago, right? Is she was selected. She was the word I'm trying to look for. She was only, I don't even know what the word to use. She was only confined to the geographic location that she's in, that goes with her the tension that goes with just finding a partner, right? She was locked in and confined to just the men in her area. And now with this dating marketplace, and one of the reasons why it's changed so much is now attractive women that live in Tennessee or wherever, Wyoming, can get attention from men all across the world. And that is something that has not been something that's been common within society in the last, I don't know, thousands of years. That's something that's completely foreign. So that also adds to the indecision that is women's dating pool. So there's that. All right. So another thing is you have the people who dominate the marketplace right now are attractive women. Obviously, they always have, and of course, what people would define as attractive men. So higher status men. They're going to dominate the marketplace even more than beautiful women, right? So with that being said, you have a small minority of men that are getting all the women, or they have all the women available to them. Obviously, they won't be able to have all the women, but they have the option to have all the women within that category, and that also is going to leave a lot of men out. Which brings me to my next point is you have this within the dating marketplace right now. You have this a section of men called I've done research on this as well. It's called the Mgtow Movement. It's men going their own way. They see the way dating is going, and they see that it's not in their favor. And instead of leveling up, they decide to, I'm just going to step away altogether because I'm not succeeding in this. So why even play a game that is made for me to lose, essentially? So you have that comes into play as well with they don't want to level up in order to get the women that they want. So they'd rather just you know not really mess with anything at all. So there's that as well. If you're in here right now, I see a few people in here. Make sure you leave a comments. And yeah, just say what's good. Appreciate it. All right. Another thing I want to talk about is so I'm gonna lay out the problems. I'll lay out the problems, and then I'm gonna lay out the solutions. Okay. So I've already kind of laid a small foundation for the problems. So, and I mentioned it for men as well. The solution for men in this dating marketplace, if you want to succeed, if you want to have the most options, if you whatever you want, right? You're going to have to level up in every aspect of your life, physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, all of them. And in your network, whatever you can, level up in all areas in life, and that's the only way you're going to succeed within this dating marketplace. And now for women's um, women's solutions are interesting as well. So if I was a woman nowadays, or if I was giving advice to a woman nowadays within the dating marketplace of today, I would say be very selective with the man that you want. Of course, they've always been selective throughout history, because obviously they have higher consequences within, sex and a bunch of other things like that. So obviously they chooses them. It makes them more selective with who they partner with. Um, but with today's society, you see that going away less and less. It's becoming less meaningful. The sex in general is becoming less meaningful, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in other podcasts. But there's so much of it nowadays that it's losing its meaning. It's losing all of the value that it has, really. And if, like I said, if I was a woman now, if I could give advice to a woman nowadays, I would say be very selective, and I would also say write down exactly what you want in a man and vet for men for that. Um, and have the man prove themselves to you, and that's how you pretty much find a worthy man. And I would also say not only being selective, but definitely don't market yourself um, to everyone, because it's gonna bring your value down when it comes to the man that you're looking for, which is probably going to be a man, like I mentioned earlier, that is going to be a little bit of higher value. Those men want a specific type of woman as well. And also, my advice to women is to also research what men want in a woman, because I feel like that is something that is not a part of society, and it is one of the biggest contributing factors to the overall issue that I talked about earlier. So, with okay, this is my perception of society. Like I said, as a disclaimer earlier in the video, not all the things I'm going to say is 100% right, but I'm just giving you my observations. Not only my observations, but the observations of people around me. But with when talking about women, right? Um, where's I going with that? Man, I completely lost my point. Give me 1 second. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Like I said, leave a comment if you're in here. If you have any questions regarding any things I'm talking about, please let me know. All right. Okay, so what was I talking about? This is why it's easier if there's more people in the chat, but it's fine. All right. When it comes to giving my advice with women in today's society, one of the things I would definitely research if I were you is how to get it. Like, what specifically do men want? The men that you want, what do they want out of a woman? Um, through my perception is this. This is what I was getting back to. Men have always tried to become what women want. This is how it's always been. Whether it's acquiring status, whether it's acquiring the money, where it's acquiring the physical body of what a woman wants, men have always pursued what women want. They've always pursued that. That's kind of what pushed society forward. But now, if you take a look into what women, the type of women that are developing today, are they really becoming exactly what men want? And I would say, hell no. I would say through my observations that women are not becoming what men want, but what society tells them to be. They follow society's footsteps instead of following what a man would want. And I'm speaking in general terms, of course, when I speak about these topics because, um, you know, generally speaking, most people are straight and most women want men. So that's okay. But with that being said, yeah, definitely research what men want because you'd be surprised. I've seen it time and time again, whether it's on podcasts, whether it's in person, and I've asked women this question many, many times, and they don't really have a set answer. What do men want? And if you're a woman right now watching this, answer that question yourself. What do men want? And then go around and ask men what do they want because that does not get asked at all, and it very well should. Um, so yeah, that'd be my solution for women. Um, Men, like I said, just become what women want. Simple as that. Just level yourself up in every single aspect, and then you'll get more looks in the dating marketplace. Let me see. Another thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about the main overall issue, like I had spoke about earlier, which is going to be the lower status men. So what the lower status men are doing, like I mentioned earlier, are giving out their time, attention, and resources out to women for nothing in return, which I would deem a simp, right? With that being said, you have the biggest factors to this, I would say, is let's just say, attractive women that make content and they get paid for it, right? Um, the men that are lower status are going to be the biggest contributors to their wealth and their bad behavior. It gets rewarded in what I would deem is bad behavior because it's not in aligned to what men want. Most men want, right? Most men are definitely going to prefer a woman that is going to show her body off less and who's not exposed to the entire internet. That's just I would say that's a general. I'll speak for men in that regard. That's generally what they want. They don't want a woman that's going to just give out all their goodies for $5, right? So with that being said, like I said, the biggest contributing factors to those are the men um, that contribute or pay their bills essentially, and they do it for temporary and instant gratification. Which, if you're a lower status man, you should never be pursuing the short term gratification, never, because you should be trying to level up in every aspect of life, and obviously, the only way to do that is to fix the right now. So that's something that It's definitely interesting for sure. I'm trying to think what else do I want to really touch on. I've touched on pretty much majority of what I would like. Um, I wish you guys could see the podcast that I had filmed yesterday. That podcast, I was actually able to speak for an entire hour by myself, no help from the comments, which is pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, and then yeah, like I said, just another disclaimer: these things that I'm talking about today, there's some truth within the things that I'm talking about. Um, and like I said, when thinking about the dating marketplace, 100% should be taken into account because it's a well developed and well researched idea, and these things that I speak about are things that I thought about time and time again. These things that I speak about are things that I've observed time and time again. So it's not like I'm just coming on here and just talking about something that I've researched for one day. That's not the case. Not only do I have, like I said, my personal experience, I have the experiences of people that have either been in my life or somehow, some way, are in my life, and I've observed the ways that their philosophies, their personal experiences and stuff like that. So, these opinions are going to be, for the most part, well developed and well thought out. So, yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is how I don't know, I think I might have mentioned it a little bit earlier, but most guys are invisible to women. Women don't really see you. If you're a lower status guy that's not really pursuing a life that's better than your current one, women don't really see you, honestly. Especially super attractive women, they really do not see you at all. So the only way for them to see you is, like I mentioned earlier, to work your ass off, and hopefully one day have that option available to you. But that's all you can really do right now. So yeah, so there's a lot of modern day conventions that I would say are in favor of women, and that is okay if you're a woman, but that is not okay if you're a lower status man. Um, yeah, sadly, it's it's the simple answer, which I've actually seen in my life with some of the issues that I've had, regardless of what even the category of the issue stems from. It's always comes back to the overall arching message of work on yourself. For the most part, that's pretty much where this message goes for men. For women, like I said, be very selective. Not only selective, um, you want to really vet the certain traits that you want in a man, and learn what men want in a woman, because that is something that is so missing into society. So there's that. I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Like I said, if you're in here right now, make sure you leave a comment. Um, Give me 1 second. All right, all right. Yes, if you're watching this back, I appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment, talking about maybe one topic that I talked about today that had really intrigued you. Like I said, make sure you comment that down below. Appreciate you for stopping by, though. I feel like I have a lot more to say on this topic, but for whatever reason, it's not really coming to mind right now. Um, oh yeah, one thing I also want to talk about. Let me take a deep dive into this right here, right? So, with all the things that I had mentioned earlier about the current state of the dating marketplace, I also want to talk about my prediction going forward. Where do I see the dating marketplace going within the next, let's just say 5 years? Let's say 5 to 10 years, okay? So, with having the contributing factor of social media and how much status actually plays a role into what women define as attractive, I will say that these things I talked about today are going to be more exaggerated. Um, so, like I had mentioned, the men going their own way. I feel like you're gonna have more men, maybe even 30% of the population of men, drop out of the marketplace, which is terrible, terrible. But I think it's going to happen. Um, I would say maybe like I said, 30% of people are 30% of men, in my opinion, within the next 10 years for sure, are going to drop out. And it's not only because they just don't want to deal with women; they obviously don't want to level themselves up. And with that being said, there's also going to be more modern, they're technically futuristic ways to get the needs that they could get from women, but they, since they dropped out, need to fulfill those needs in some way somewhere else, which is so sad to say, but um, I see it happening very, very soon, where we're going to have conventions that are going to fulfill the needs. This being, I would say, probably in the future, VR is definitely going to play a big role within specifically, specifically. Let's just say it's the industry that young men research very thoroughly. Um, I'm gonna say that. If I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. Pretty sure you know what I mean. But you're gonna see that being played out in VR, and I feel like you're going to have things like robots and other more instant gratification activities for men. Sadly, and like I said, there's going to be a market for that always because the need's always going to be fulfilled. And on top of that, um, shit's for some men, shit's too hard, and like I said, they'll just find another way. Sadly. Where do I see this for women? I see women becoming more entitled. I see women becoming less willing to deal with men that put them in even a awkward awkward frame of mind, whether it's taking accountability. I see the problem within women taking accountability definitely rising. I see the what is it called? I see sex becoming less meaningful than what it is right now, and it's literally going down the drain right now. I see women being more incentivized to show off and have bad behavior because there's nothing that's going to really put them. Um, that's it's really gonna recenter them. Let's just say that. Um, so that those are my predictions for where I think the dating marketplace is going to go. There's going to be fewer men that are desirable. There's going to be more women desiring those fewer amounts of men, and you're going to have a lot more unhappy people within society. So you're going to have the men that cannot get the relationship aspect of life fulfilled, and they're always going to have that missing piece. And I also see women, older women, ages probably about 35 to 40, 35. I'm gonna say older than 35. Definitely struggle to find what they want in a partner, um, because generally speaking, the people that are of higher status men prefer women that are younger. So the 20s. Let's just say 20s, right? If I'm gonna be safe, we'll just say 20s, right? Technically speaking, men prefer all ages of men, 18 through 60, prefer women, um, ages 18 to 24. More in particular, 22. These are things that I've researched and I've heard people talk about time and time again. But with that being said, you're going to have people that are going to be, you're gonna have women that are going to be older that are not going to have the same opportunities afforded to them because their opportunities either have went and gone, or they just decided not to stick with a specific man. So I feel like you'll see that play out as well, and you even also see some of it playing out right now. So that's kind of where I see it going. Trying to think what else do I have to mention regarding that. Um, yeah, that was it. Pretty much hits it right on the head. Honestly, I'm definitely excited to do this topic with somebody else as well. This is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about. Um, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to doing it with someone else because just so you can get another perspective on some of the things that I'm talking about, will definitely give you some thought provoking thoughts to say the very least. So yeah. Um, let me see if there's anything else I would like to talk on. And if I'm gonna be honest with you, I would hope that all the predictions that I've made today are wrong. I hope they're wrong. But with the current trends that I see in society, they are going to just be more excessive, to say the least. They're going to be more expressed, and that's not going to lead to the best thing within society. So, um, yeah, give me one second. All right. If I'm gonna give it, I don't know if I can actually. I don't think there's really anything. So I've given some solutions, but I feel like those solutions only. I guess they can apply to everybody, but it's not realistic, right? There's only going to be a few people. There's only going to be a few people that are going to be receptive of the solutions. But let's just say women, for example, I see maybe like 10, 15, 20% of women actually take what I have to say into account into the future. Um, but it's still going to leave majority of them searching for the same things and getting dissatisfied with the results that they get. Sadly, but that's just life. Um, Another thing, another piece of advice that I have for women is also be clear with exactly what you want. If you want a relationship, only look for men that are looking for relationships. So don't look for men and interact with, don't entertain men that are not going to want a relationship with you, because they're just going to get what they want, and you're gonna be thinking you get what you want, and then they're just going to leave you, and it's not going to be good. So Um, if you're also trying to attain a man that is of higher status, be very clear with his intentions, because he might just be trying to fulfill his own needs and not yours. So yeah. So just to reiterate, the solutions for women's problems is become very selective, evaluate the intentions of the man, as well as research what it takes to be the ideal woman to that man. Those are my pieces of advice for women. Um, Yeah, it's society's right now in the dating marketplace is something that's slowly evolving, and I'm sure a lot of people can have this conversation, and there's a lot of different viewpoints that you can have within it changing. Um, Obviously, you see certain dynamics that are being flipped, which is okay. Like I said, I have no problem with that. Just certain dynamics of masculinity and femininity are being flip flopped, which is, like I said, it is what it is. Nothing I can really say or do about it. Um, but those are still factors. I feel like another thing that people are trying to get away from and think that the society can out evolve is the femininity and masculinity aspect of a relationship. I feel like people, and of course, there's going to be what I call the outliers, the what are they called? The exceptions to the rule. There's going to be plenty of exceptions to the rule, and that's fine. But for the most part, those are going to be the dynamics that exist, because those are the dynamics that have always worked, and they're proven to work. The femininity and masculinity aspect. And when you start to when one starts to become the other, so like let's just say you got a man and a woman, and generally speaking, the man's probably going to be more masculine than the woman. Woman's going to be more feminine than the man, right? So with that being said, in society, you see people. These are just my observations. You see people flip flopping. So you see men becoming more feminine and women becoming more masculine, and then they run into issues, and then they wonder exactly why the issues were what they were, and in reality, the only reason that they are is because they're being flip flopped in roles, which I also do believe in roles. I do believe in roles. Of course, I also do believe that these times are changing and the rules are, I would say less meaningful, but they're, I guess, less needed, but they work. They work. So, um, yeah, it's just, like I said, it's just finding the partner that really wants to fulfill those needs for you, because there's a lot of them that, like I said, have very selfish intentions, and avoiding those people with selfish intentions and just in life in general is definitely key. Give me one second. I want to try something. All right. I want to turn down the lights a little bit. I feel like it made me a little bit more pale than I prefer. I'm gonna say that. I still look pale, but it's fine. Give me 1 second. All right. Another thing for men is, so I said, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I said this, but if you're a man, or at least I should have said this by now. If you're a man and you're on dating apps and you're not finding very much success, get the hell off the dating apps and get your ass approaching women in real life, because you have no success. You are not made to succeed on dating apps. Only a few select group of men are made to succeed on dating apps, and women, of course, are by nature made to win on dating apps, because they have the most amount of options. Because 80% of people on dating apps are men, so they're uh, they're in a position to win. Let's just say that. And the men that are of high status that are on dating apps are in a position to win because they are what men want, or women want rather. And if you're a lower status guy, who wants you on dating apps, really? So what you can do is go find women that are not on dating apps, because I feel like, honestly, in my opinion, this might be a little bit controversial, whatever. Women on dating apps, in my opinion, are a red flag. I think it's just a red flag, because if you're a woman on a dating app and let's just say you've on the dating app for longer than shit, like a month, you're doing it for attention. You're not doing it to actually find somebody. Because another thing is, another reason why dating apps are not good for men as well is, let's just say you find a woman, right? You match with her, right? Let's say you're a low status guy, right? You match with her, you know, you're having conversations, going great. She matches with another guy another day, and she forgets about you. You're not in a position to win on dating apps as an average dude. So, like I said, what you can do is getting really find women in real life that you find attractive, and then approach them. And of course, there's a barrier of resistance that comes along with partaking in that activity. But get past it, and you will definitely evolve. And I've definitely had my own personal experience within this. It definitely works out a lot better for me than dating apps did. I was on dating apps for a short period of time, but like I said, I recognized and learned the hard way that it's not meant for me to win. It's not, and that's okay, because I can still win on approaching women. Of course, it's not a foolproof plan approaching women. Definitely not. It takes a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of knowledge in general. But if you can do it, and you can do it a lot, you can have very, very much, very, very high rates of success. So definitely recommend that for men as well. For women, don't even, if you're really looking for a relationship, then try hard. But if you're not, you have no reason to try at all. You have no reason. You have no reason to approach any men. Like I said, women play dating on easy mode always. They always get asked into dates. They always get asked out. They always get asked for their number. Whatever. It's made for them to win, pretty much. But yeah, there's really no advice on that. That's why you see no women have there's no like women dating coaches that exist that are like, oh yeah, women, like this is what you have to do, and like to date a man. Like, no. That's why you see plenty and plenty and plenty of men um that are helping men in the dating scene because they need it. So there's that. Yeah, I just can't believe in the future that it's really gonna be that way. You're gonna have a large group of men that are not gonna be partaking in the dating marketplace at all. They're gonna be completely excluded from it. I find that's gonna be very interesting. Just in society in general. Just interacting with men that are not partaking in the sexual marketplace. That's that's gonna be that's tough. That's tough. But it is. Hey, what's good? What's good, Trillin? I appreciate you for stopping by, my man. But yeah, yeah, I'm gonna end the podcast off very, very soon here. Like I said, if you're in here right now, I appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment regarding maybe something you find interesting within the podcast. But just to reiterate a little bit, I was talking about the current state of dating, and I was talking about the man and women dynamic, pretty much the overall arching problem being lower status men, and that leading into problems with women, and what more in particular problems with women, women becoming less of what men want. That's also something that contributes to that. So I'll go over my points very very briefly. So for women, right now attention is the currency that women take, and right now they have the most attention that they've ever had in human history. The average woman is getting plenty and plenty and plenty of attention, way more than an average woman has ever got. So that's why, and then that goes hand in hand with the average men and average women aren't the same. The average man gets not even half, not even a fourth of the attention that the average woman gets. So, with attention, with attention being given out so easily and so freely, it becomes worthless. So yeah. With that being said, if if average women are getting so much attention and validation, most men to women are invisible for the most part. Another thing I mentioned is how dating apps are not made for the average man to win as well. So 80% of people on dating apps are men, and men are not the winners of dating apps. They're not. It's not meant for you to win. Women, however, are in the minority when it comes to partaking on dating apps. So they have the most options, and not only do they have the most options, um, they're going to be very selective on what options they pick, and they're going to be only picking higher status men. Maybe the top 10 to 20% of men that are going to be on the dating apps are actually going to have success, which is going to be a small minority of men that are partaking on the dating apps that actually have somewhat of success. So yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is, or another thing that I mentioned earlier is, um, with having an abundance of options as a woman, you're going to have option indecision. So um, instead of just finding what the example that I used earlier, instead of just finding one good man in your geographic location 30 years ago, which was out of your entire options, maybe you had like 50 guys. Let's just say 100. Let's just say 300, right? Let's just say you had 300 guys in your geographic location that you could date as a woman 30 years ago. But now you have millions to compete with. If you're a guy right now in society, you are competing with thousands and millions of guys, and it's bigger than your geographic location, and that's just the way the marketplace is set up. It's now a global marketplace instead of um, it being only in your town or whatever. It's just different. So, like I mentioned earlier, women have so many options to the point where if they pick an option, they might be dissatisfied with it within a short amount of time because they have so many options available to them. They're not going to be able to really indulge within all those options. So there kind of is a conflict of interest, and like I said, you're going to have that option decision. And then some of the solutions that I gave women earlier were one, be very selective with the man that you want, be very clear of his intentions, be very clear of your intentions within the dating marketplace, and also, if I was a woman, I would research specifically what men want because that is the missing factor within society that leads to a bunch of different problems in itself. Um, Men have always researched, I won't say researched, men have always knew and figured out what women want out of a man. But women, as of recently, have not been making that same effort, and they've actually just been becoming what society tells them to be, not what men want. So there's a conflict of interest there as well. Going not speaking on men, the main problem within society when it comes to the dating marketplace is the lower status men, which are going to be the reasons why they are the problem is because they put women on pedestals, and that kind of goes back to the attention aspect that I mentioned earlier. If there's an abundance of attention available or given to this one woman, it becomes less meaningful to her, and it just loses value altogether. Um, so obviously, one thing I also mentioned as well with the lower status men is there's a bunch of simps, and simps don't win ever. They give out their time, attention, and resources to women that don't care about them, and that's wrong. In my opinion, that is wrong. No man should do that because if you're not getting anything in return and you're giving out your hard-earned money, what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. Um, And another thing that I'd mentioned earlier is 1/3 of men ages 18 to 24 are involuntarily celibate in the last year. So that's an issue as well. You have men that are completely excluded from the dating marketplace right now, which is so bad when it comes to just over the overall society. And then another thing I'd mentioned is um, men going their own way. I see a increased number of men dropping out of the dating marketplace because they don't want to deal with women. They don't want to deal with any of the um, things that it takes to get women. And my overall message for men is if you want to succeed within today's dating marketplace, the only way you're going to be able to succeed is to become better version of yourself in every aspect of your life, physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally, and within your network of people that you know. Um, that is the only way you'll be successful within the dating marketplace. And yeah, it's pretty much all I have to say on that topic. If you found any of this entertaining or intriguing, and you want to leave a comment specifically on something that I mentioned, make sure you leave a comment down below, and I will definitely get back to it. But yeah, one thing I'm gonna leave you guys off on right now. Today's Saturday. Um, is give yourself a moment of gratitude. Today, if you're watching this after the fact, I want you after this podcast is over, which will be very very shortly. I want you to take some time away from all of the distractions of life, and I want you to really sit in your seat and think to yourself, what am I really grateful for today? What brings what brings me gratitude? What are things that I could really be grateful for in the moment? And for me, I'll give you three things off my head. I'm very grateful for the foundation of support that I have. In my opinion, it's unmatched. But yeah, I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful to be born in a country that cares about its people and cares about evolving. And the last thing that I am grateful for, I am grateful for the opportunity that I've been given in life to um, find my own way. Because I feel like a lot of people, with all the things that I mentioned, there's not everyone is afforded the same opportunity. So I'm very grateful for those things. So I'll go ahead and leave you guys off on that. If you watch to the end of this, I appreciate for watching. And if you have any questions personally, just go ahead and give me a text or DM me or whatever you have to do. But other than that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I look forward to see you on the next podcast, which will be on